Vâng, một phần chia sẻ rất là nhiệt huyết của anh Tình Nguyễn đúng không? Một tràng pháo tay cho sự nhiệt tình của anh Tình Nguyễn không? Vâng, với nhiệt huyết của anh Tình Nguyễn thì anh Tình Nguyễn không chỉ là một người làm việc trong lĩnh vực về internet marketing mà anh còn đóng góp rất nhiều và chia sẻ cũng như là tổ chức rất nhiều sự kiện để mời những speaker cùng nhau chia sẻ chúng ta trong những sự kiện như thế này. Và khi trong phần buổi chiều chúng ta ngày hôm nay sẽ là phần chia sẻ của một diễn giả đến từ Ý. Vâng, anh là một người rất là trẻ tuổi và nói ra diễn giả đến từ Ý thì mà trưa nay tôi có nghe một số chị em phụ nữ là đang rất chào đón một speaker đến từ Ý, tại vì chị em phụ nữ Việt Nam nghe đến Ý là sao? Đẹp trai, đẹp trai. Và dĩ nhiên không chỉ đẹp trai mà nó rất là giỏi á. Vì sao? Thì trong vòng 1 năm anh đã xây dựng được một cái cộng đồng mang lại rất nhiều giá trị cho những thành viên, và chỉ trong vòng 1 năm mà đến hiện nay số cập nhật mới nhất đã lên tới 31.000 thành viên, và trong đó có rất nhiều thành viên trong đó đã kiếm được những thu nhập từ những cái kiến thức được chia sẻ trong cái group đó và lên tới 6-7 con chữ số. Ok, và nghe đến group như vậy thì bao nhiêu trong bạn số các bạn mong muốn mình trở thành thành viên của group nổi tiếng như vậy ạ? Rất nhiều đúng không? Và cái người founder, người tạo ra cái group đó ngày hôm nay sẽ có mặt trên sân khấu này để chia sẻ cho các bạn những cái trải nghiệm, những cái cách thức làm thế nào chúng ta có thể tối ưu hóa cái công việc kinh doanh trên internet. Vâng, tuyệt vời không ạ? Vâng, chúng ta hãy dành một tràng pháo tay thật nồng nhiệt để chào đón speaker đến từ Ý, Nick Peroni. Lớn nữa đó. Cảm ơn các bạn.
What's up, Ho Chi Minh? I'm excited to be here. Let me get settled. I'm really excited to be here. I love this city. As the screen says, we're going to be talking today about building e-commerce empire with Shopify. So just before I get started, how many people are new to Shopify? Okay, good, awesome. This is going to be some great stuff for you guys today. My goal here is to just deliver as much content and as much value as possible. So we're going to jump right in. This is the agenda. Now I don't actually have 2 hours this time, so I'm going to try to condense it a little bit. I think it's going to be an hour and a half. But basically here's what we're going to look at. The Shopify opportunity. I'm going to start there and just talk about like what an amazing opportunity this is right now for everybody right here. And then we're going to go through building a plan, because success in business, no matter what business you're doing, is all about having a plan. And then niche and product selection, this is really big. E-commerce marketing, like some really good stuff we're going to talk about there. Knowing your numbers, and then a roadmap I'm going to try to finish out with if we have time to just make sure you guys have everything. I am Nick Peroni. Shopify has been an amazing journey for me. I'm not going to talk too much about myself except to say that, you know, the whole reason that I'm here and that I'm able to do this is really just because the Shopify opportunity right now, being able to build an online business, it's amazing. It's treated me very well. I have a group called Ecommerce Empires that now has over 30,000 members in it, and it allows me to travel and meet entrepreneurs all over the world, and so it's been an amazing experience, and I'm really excited to be here. I'm going to just start out by showing a few success stories from the group. You know, like I said, Shopify has been very good to me, but what I want you guys to see, because it's a lot of content and it's a lot of information we're about to cover, but I want you guys to see how powerful this information is. Everything that I'm going to be going over here, the free information that you're getting is the stuff that I share in my group. That is the same stuff that's allowing people to just crush it right now and do numbers that are just crazy to be able to do as an entrepreneur starting an online business with, you know, such a low barrier to entry. I'll go through these kind of quickly. I don't know if you can, I guess you can see them. Here's one from somebody that over the course of 2 days did $5,000 in sales and then ended up having a $6,000 day here. These are basically all people just sharing success stories and talking about how the group and how the information, same stuff we're going to go over today, is what allowed them to hit these kinds of numbers. You can see right here, somebody $100,000 in 100 days. So awesome. I mean, we're going to be going over the stuff, 6 figures business for sure. This guy here doing 3,400 in a week. Another one over here, being able to get to 1.7 thousand. You know, I like to show both because I don't want you to feel like it's always all about the big numbers. Just being able to get started in a business and be able to go out and do $1,000, generate $2,000 as a brand new person. Some of these people struggled for a long time looking for success, and then this is the type of information that allows them to scale. Here's a really good one, $1.7 million, giving an awesome shout out. He did that in a year's time. Here's somebody doing $20,000 in a month. Another $9,000 a month here. Somebody said, constantly hitting my goals, finally about to hit 10K a month in sales and just thanking me. Here's a very recent one, actually. This is September 27th, as in like the September that just happened. Did $792,000 in less than a year and hitting $100,000 months. Again, from the information that we're about to go over right now. So here's the last ones. All right, I just want, again, the purpose of this is to show you what's possible and to show you all the content you're about to get here is money-making content. Like, it's the stuff that literally goes out and generates the kind of numbers that people are hitting these goals and doing awesome things. So I like this one with Heather because she says literally just launched the store this morning and already just about to hit $100 in sales. So that's really how quickly it can happen. You know, that you can set up a store and you can be making money. Last one. Another $100,000 a month, $24,000 a month. Again, just showing you the power of this information here. Okay, so I'm going to go through this kind of quickly because I know that a lot of stats were already shared already. But basically what I want you guys to see here with the Shopify opportunity is just that right now, this opportunity is booming. Especially I know in this part of the world. It's why I'm so excited to be over here. I know that e-commerce is like on an upwards trend over here in Asia and Southeast Asia. So it's really exciting. The stat that's really important here, a lot of people know about Shopify now. And they know about making money online by setting up an online store. And so sometimes people feel like it's already an opportunity that too many people are in. But the reality is that e-commerce is exploding year over year. And this year, it's expected to be up to over $2 trillion. And then that's projected, I should say, to double by 2020 to almost $4 trillion. So over the next 3 years, basically, a lot of people are going to be creating $1 million stores. There's going to be lots of opportunity happening right now. The time has really never been better to be able to get into this right now and put together a store that's going to make you a lot of money and be something that you can grow consistently over the next couple of years. And why it's so great, and what we're going to talk about today, is because everything with Shopify, just like any e-commerce really, is about finding a great product and matching it to an audience. Because when you do that, Facebook and Google and these advertising platforms out there are going to make it so, really it's simple if you think about it. It's going to be simple to be able to find the product and then put it in front of people and just start generating money, thousands of dollars in sales a month, simply by finding that product to audience match. And that's what we're going to talk about a lot today, because to me, that's what e-commerce is: finding great products, putting them in front of an audience, and then learning how to use Facebook and Google and other traffic sources to just get people to see that product, and if they like it, they're going to buy it. So in the beginning, I'm going to talk a little bit about mindset. I'm going to try to go through this quickly because I don't have as much time, but it's really, really important. I think that one of the things that I've seen is now with a group of 30,000 people, I've had the chance to interact with a lot of entrepreneurs from all over the world, both people that are successful and killing it, doing amazing things, like Steve and Evan Tan that were up here earlier, and people who are struggling and not being able to figure this out. And really, I think that one of the biggest things that it comes down to is the mindset you have before you go into business, before you get started. So I just want to hit a couple points here. And this stuff, I think, is just really the stuff that I've noticed that helps people get started in the right way. Number one, we kind of just talked about this, having an abundance mindset over scarcity. And what I mean by that is that there is so much opportunity out there. There are a lot of big niches. We're going to talk about some of them where, there's just money being made every day. And what you need to understand is it's all about how creative you're going to be in the marketplace. Okay, there is plenty of opportunity out there when you think in terms of abundance. I'm going to show you a couple different options for business models that you can use with Shopify. And what's important to remember is that everybody has different strengths. All right, so there's different ways you can build a business with Shopify. So you need to be thinking about what your strengths are and not trying to do something just because you see somebody else doing it, but understand what your strengths are and play to those. Not relying on gimmicks and hype, that's kind of self-explanatory. I don't believe in gimmicks or, black hat kind of stuff or hype. So, we're always going to be talking about delivering real value to real customers. A solid foundation, we're going to spend some time there because it's really important to have a solid foundation in everything that you're doing and building the correct plan for success. Having a plan and knowing your goals is really important for getting started. So before you even get started, you want to kind of have a roadmap in your mind of where you want to go, because our minds are very much like a GPS system. We're not going to be able to know how to get there until we know the point we want to get to. For example, last year when I was getting started, I made a goal way before I ever knew it was possible for me to do, to make $100,000 in sales in a month. I had never even considered that before until I said I'm going to do it, and then once I made the goal, things started to fall into place for me to be able to hit that goal. So that's really, you have to know what you're trying to accomplish. Focusing on the long-term payout, this is important because a lot of people come into Shopify and they look at it like make money online, trying to grab a quick dollar. And certainly I'm not going to say that's not possible and that people haven't done it, but what we're really trying to do here is create sustainable businesses that are going to be something that we can have over the long term, we can build over the next couple of years. Understand it's a process and that failure is part of it. A lot of people get started, they launch one product that doesn't do good, they spend $20 and they don't get a sale and they get upset. I mean, it's a process. There's going to be failures along the way. The people that are doing the best right now with Shopify, and like I said, I've networked with entrepreneurs that are doing $1 million a month. The people that are doing the best are sticking to a simple process and a simple system, and they understand that it's all about testing and failing on your way to success. And then realize that systems create automation. The Tan brothers talked about this very well, but with an online business, the goal is to create systems for what you do, have a process for everything, and that's how you can create an automated business that lets you travel the world or whatever your dream life is. Everybody's different, but for me, it's having an online business that's automated, that allows me to travel and do these types of things, and that's all because at the very core foundation, there's a system there and there's a process, so it's the same thing every time. All right? So looking at the strategy, okay, we're going to talk about all of this now coming in the next couple slides. All right, building a great foundation, having your plan, finding great product to audience matches. Like I said, I think that's the main key to a lot of this. And then testing your marketing, understanding your numbers, and building your back end. This is basically the strategy right here, and I'm going to break this down over the next couple slides. Here's what it looks like in just simple format here, okay? And like Tim just talked about, everything is a funnel, and we're going to talk about this funnel and break it down, but I just wanted to give you a visual, all right? We have our traffic sources that we're going to run to a Shopify store, right? And I'm going to go through these pieces here of building a Shopify store and what that foundation should look like. And then we have our products that we're trying to push them through. For people that bounce off the product page, we're going to talk about using retargeting and email to bring those people back to close your sales. And then we'll look at having the value ladder, right, and the lifetime value of your customer to be able to have a consistent business that grows over time. All right, so moving into your e-com plan for success. All right, here are the pieces that we're going to talk about. Having a business model, right? I'm going to talk about the different business models you can do with Shopify. And then we're going to look at your store type, because there's different ways you can build your store based on what your goal and your focus is. Having a story, like a brand to what you're doing. This is really what's going to differentiate you in the marketplace. And then we're going to look at some examples of a store layout and then talk about marketing strategy. All right, so your business model. there's a couple ways. I know that you all know about dropshipping. So dropshipping is one of the biggest ways right now that people are getting started with Shopify, because Shopify is the platform, right? And dropshipping has been around for a long time. It's nothing more than finding products from a wholesale source and then reselling them. And when we resell them, that's why the whole thing is about your marketing, right? And how you present that and what audience you find it for. Because anybody can go find a product and try to put it on an ad. That's not hard to do that. The way that you make sales is by thinking a little bit more about it, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So you all probably know the sites: AliExpress, Alibaba. 1688 is the Chinese version. I think the Tan brothers talked about that. DHgate and Doba. And then there's apps that allow you to just import these products, right? Dropify and Overlow are apps that make it very easy to simply install on your Shopify store, import products, and then be selling. And that's how people are able to get set up literally in a matter of hours and be selling stuff. A really, really hot and growing opportunity right now is the print-on-demand market. I know that there are a lot of people in Vietnam, Vietnamese entrepreneurs that do print-on-demand, so I think you guys probably know this pretty well already. But with Shopify, what's really cool is that you can build a brand, right? And that your brand becomes like something that can grow over time, because you're not limited by anything, right? With drop shipping, you have to go find products that are already in existence. But with print on demand, however unique you are, the sky's the limit. You can just keep creating products, keep creating designs, and keep putting them out there to new audiences. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, and then the apps that are up there are just different ones in no particular order that I know work well, that I've either used or have friends that use, and I know are reliable sources. And then finally, I don't want you to just think that Shopify is about drop shipping and that's it. For me, it's a stepping stone, right? Like you get in with drop shipping and then you move your business up to whatever your bigger goals are. And some other ways that you can use Shopify are to have your own product. You could do a subscription service. One thing I'm working on right now is a digital subscription service, like a software SaaS company. And you can build anything you want with Shopify. So we're just going to cover a few of the business models today. And here's basically what it looks like. All right, again, a visual, because I like visuals. So just a very simple process where for people who are coming to our store, they're ordering, and then the only difference here is in the supplier, right? This is really the only thing that ever changes based on what you're selling. It's either going to be that you are ordering off of AliExpress here and that they're shipping it, or it's going to be that you're using a print-on-demand company, and once the order comes in, they print and ship it. Or if you have your own product or your own warehouse, then that's going to be here. But basically, it's a simple process, right? They come in, they order, warehouse goes and sends it out, tracking info goes to the store, customer gets the item. I'm going to make these slides available for everybody, so you guys should be able to get these. All right, so moving into your store type. All right, that was the business model, right? That right there, what we looked at, I just want to make sure I clarify that for people that might be new in here, because I know we had a lot of new hands that went up. This is the business model, and no inventory, fast scale, right? That's what's so attractive about this. You don't have to have any inventory on hand, and so you're able to scale really quickly. People can get started today and have stores making thousands of dollars very quickly simply by finding the right product. All right, store type. There are really three different ways that I break this into. Okay, general store is going to be like Walmart or Amazon, right? It can sell anything. So normally for people getting started, I suggest getting started with a general store because it gives you the ability to just test across different niches. Like unless you know a niche very well already, you're probably going to want to start by testing and figuring out the system. And so the reason I like a general store, when I got started with Shopify at the beginning of 2016, I had a store that was just very general. The name of it was trendsparks.com. and it doesn't exist anymore, but that was like, it's just a name that could be anything. And I could sell anything on there, and that's what I did. I just tested a lot of products until I found the ones that took off and allowed me to scale my business. So a general store would just be like you pick a name that means nothing basically, and you can sell anything on there. A general niche store is kind of the in-between point, because obviously a niche store is when you pick something very specific, like say you know the cat industry very well, and you just want to sell stuff that has to do with cats. That would be a niche store. Your audience is going to be the same every time, right? So that's going to be very specific, but the challenge is that if you haven't already tested that niche and you don't know, then you could go through the process of building out a whole store and not making any money, and then you're just going to be right back to square one, which is why I usually suggest one of the top two options. A general niche store would be when you focus it in a little bit. So say, for example, you wanted to sell stuff like in the outdoor recreation, and you named a store that had it has fishing, hunting, camping. Like these are all kind of related, but they're different niches. But you could have one store that sells all this, like Dick's Sporting Goods. That's an American company. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. Or like Bass Pro. Like these are companies that are general niche because they're big. They sell a lot of different things, but it's all kind of related to one category. So you're going to pick that, and then again another visual for you. This right here is the strategy that I generally share with everybody for people getting started. And the reason this works so well is, again, it goes back to having a system. All right, a lot of people get started and they have no system, so it's kind of just like they're throwing stuff at a wall and hoping something sticks, as opposed to having a system and a model that keeps you on track, right? That keeps you focused on what you're doing. So here's the general concept. All right, you have your store, right? Whatever you decide to name it. If you go for a general store, then what I suggest doing is starting out by picking 3 big category niches. Okay, so say for example, you start a general store and it's called something like trendwave.com, right? And so you pick 3 niches. Maybe you pick hunting, fashion, and could be anything. How about music, right? So you pick like 3 big niches. Those are huge categories that we know people are buying in, right? Those are big categories. You want to pick categories that you know have buyers already. And then you're going to break it down into like smaller sub niches, because that's where the money's made, right? So if we have a big category like music, you can break that down into country music, hip hop music, EDM. All right, now you have 3 subcategories where you can start focusing in on buyers. And then finally, once you have these subcategories here, you're going to start looking for a few hot products in each one. All right, you don't need to overcomplicate the process. Like just looking for products that look popular. And we're going to talk about this a little bit more when we get into product research. But basically, you've now got like 3 really good subsets of a category of people that buy. So you start going and finding some good products, and now you have a way to start testing, right? You can start moving through the cycle and testing these products from each niche. But what's great is you're in these audiences, right? So you're finding products, but you're not just scattered all over the place, because you have an audience you're concentrating on, and you have a system here where you know what you're doing. You're cycling through products into audiences until you find the ones that are a winner. This system right here, if you have a general store, I've never really had to go through this more than twice to find like a good winning product. Because if you look at it like this, when you break it down this way, you're now going to have like 15 products here, right? More than that, like 15 to 30 products. So, and they should be all good products for good audiences, because you narrowed it in. And so when you do your due diligence like that, now you have a bunch of good products to start testing, and you're going to find something that wins. Okay, I've never really seen sticking to this system that you have to go through it more than twice to find a winning product that you can scale. And yes, you're going to lose money testing some of these products, but when you find the winning product, you're going to be able to scale that and make a lot more money back in proportion. And we're going to talk about testing products, because my whole thing is you don't spend too much money testing a product. That way you can find the winners quickly, and when you do, you can scale those winners. And then I have the dotted lines here, because if you choose to do a niche store, right, you just choose, say you don't want to do anything else, but you just want to focus on like the fishing niche or something, right? So you pick fishing, and then you pick a couple subcategories, same thing, except you're just staying within one niche, right? So it's the same strategy that works either way. Moving into having a story, okay? And when I say a story, I don't mean like writing a book, right? I'm not talking about like you have to get really elaborate and be an author or something. What I mean is having something that is a place people are going to trust, right? There's a lot of online stores out there. There's a lot of people that are starting businesses online every single day. And so what makes the ones that stand out is not necessarily that they have to be like some really elaborate store. You know, they can be very simple. But there's some kind of story there. There's some kind of branding that they're using to help connect with their audience, even if it's in like a subconscious way. A lot of this happens at a level that, you know, like selling in a lot of ways online is very subconscious, because it happens so quickly. You know, people click and they make decisions like in a split second without even realizing it. And so when it comes to trust and authority of a store, it's really all going to be based on some of this stuff here that is just going to help set it up so that people, you know, your store looks established and doesn't look like something that they can't trust. So choosing the right name is definitely important. You know, some people say that the name's not important. I don't believe that. If you're building an online store and you want something that you can scale and make a lot of money, your name kind of sets the tone for your whole business, right? So like what you choose should have some type of meaning there with what you're doing. Developing a story around your business. So we're going to look at an example in the next slide. This can be really simple. Like I know you might be thinking, well, if you're a general dropshipping store, how do you have a story for that? But you can. Like there's a really big one out there that I use in this example sometimes called Dude's Gadgets, and it's a really successful dropshipping store, right? Like in the name, you can tell already from the name Dude Gadgets who their audience is and what they're selling. Right, so it's a drop shipping store. It's very general, but they have an audience and they have a story that they're going through, and then because of that, they're able to kind of build a brand around that connects with their audience. You want to make your store feel like a real place. This is, I think, important in the sense that there's so many. Like we look at it as marketers sometimes, and we feel like as long as we just put up an ad, we're just going to start making money, right? Like just put up an ad and money's just going to start falling from the sky or something. But it really doesn't work like that. And a lot of people struggle to make sales on their store simply because they haven't taken the time to make it look like a real place, right? Like if you think about a retail store and you think about the time and effort that goes into creating a retail store and the layout and the design and everything that goes into it, like it should be the same thing with your online business. It can be simple. I'm not saying it can't be simple, but it still requires like, you know, some care and attention and being consistent all the way through. All right, so here's an example of a store. As you can see, it's very simple, right? It's just all white. There's no like fancy images, no fancy code, no like crazy graphics or anything. This store does very well right now. They're one of the highest ranked Shopify stores out there is in terms of traffic on a monthly basis. And what they did, you can tell from the name, very clever, Sugar and Cotton, right? Like that's a name that already has like some character to it. And then they created a story, very simple around it. Cute clothing and jewelry for book lovers. Okay, so it's a drop shipping store. Like make no mistake, you can look at these products on their store. They're going to AliExpress, they're finding products just like anybody else, and they're testing them to audiences, and they're testing a lot. They're running and testing like hundreds of products a month. And this is their little story that they put to it. We founded Sugar and Cotton with one simple goal, to provide amazing jewelry at amazing prices. Like your story can be that simple, but it has to be there, right? Because it makes sense and it makes the store more believable. Here's another one, and this is a niche one that I like to use in an example. It's a big store, Ezra Firestone, who does like $20 million a year with this store, and it's in the health and beauty niche, right? So you can see right away from the homepage the story that this store is telling, right? It's about women, it's about beauty, it's about time. And then they have this thing right here, introducing the first pro-age cosmetic line for women of every generation. So like just an example of a niche store and creating a story that makes sense and is going to be meaningful to your audience. And definitely invest in a good logo too, as a side note. All right, store layout. I have some examples I'm going to go show in a second here on the next slide, but here are the key points that I want to put out. Free themes versus paid themes. Okay, Shopify has a whole theme market. You do not need paid themes. All right, I just you can get them if you want to, but all my stores have always been free themes. It works fine, they convert well, and you can make a lot of money using a free theme. Simple and clean layout, and make sure it looks good on mobile. When you are building your store, you want to make sure it looks good on mobile, because as a lot of you probably know, 90% of traffic now from Facebook is mobile, okay? So like your store can look all nice and beautiful on a laptop, but if it doesn't look good on a cell phone, then it's not really going to convert well for you. These are the necessary pages. You guys can, take a picture of that. I mean, that should be pretty self-explanatory, but that's the stuff that you need to have. And I have videos in my group that show like all of this in detail. And then trust factors, of course, a phone number, email, and an address. You don't have to have all of them, but I mean, they're all good trust factors to let people know that you have an established business. So moving into this slide, I just want to show you an example again, because I like my strategy and what I've always done is look at stores that are already doing it. Okay, you don't need to copy them, but you can model the success. This is another store some of you may have heard of. They're very big. Again, one of the top-ranked Shopify sites in the entire world in terms of traffic, and they're making a lot of money every month. So we can look here. You want your header, to be not a giant logo, right? Like you can see the header, it's not very big. So what's in the very first page on my mobile screen is the picture, the title, and the price, right? That's like what you want to be able to see right away, because again, you don't have much time sometimes when people visit your store, like they're making split-second decisions. So picture, title, price, all above the fold on that first screen. Big add to cart button. These are the trust badges. You've probably seen these on stores. You want to have one under your add to cart button. And then very simple product description. All right, like it's not very complicated. It's just about having a clean layout that looks good and that people can trust, and then having a product description that focuses on why people should buy the product. And then here's the page continued. At the bottom, you can see like the recommended products. That's a great thing to have on your store. We're going to talk about that a little bit more at the end. And then just your basic links at the bottom in the footer. So really simple, right? Like anybody can build this type of store. And this type of store is making hundreds of thousands, if not $1 million a month in sales. So that's how simple it can be. And that's why I always say it's all based on the product that you find. Right? These people aren't doing anything crazy. They're not doing anything special that nobody in here cannot do. Anybody can build this type of store because Shopify gives you the theme to do it, right? So it's all just about finding really good products and then matching it with an audience. And that's what the whole process in the system is about, because the more products you can test, the quicker you can find those winners. Okay, marketing strategy. We're going to break this down into more pieces. But here it goes, like looking at what you want to be doing in your marketing strategy. Number one, picking a traffic source. Okay, you should start with one. We're going to talk about Facebook today. I'm going to mention other traffic sources, but like trying to do too many things at once, unless you're already like a Jedi entrepreneur, trying to do all these different things at once is not going to help you. You should pick one, get good at it, and then focus on adding others. Traffic objective that we'll be talking about and using is conversions. So I know that we've talked about Facebook ads already, but we're always really going for conversions is what we're looking at in our objective with an e-commerce store. Market research is like, there's an exclamation point there because even though it's not exciting, it's like the most important thing, right? Product to audience match. So that all comes in the market research and understanding how to find great products and how to know your audience to sell to them in a way that makes them want to buy. Having a marketing angle, and then you're going to drive traffic to improve conversions, okay? Like this is what we're going to talk about, but a lot of this is the step-by-step strategy I go through every time, making sure I know my traffic. Okay, Facebook, I'm going for conversions. I do my market research. I find a good product to audience match. I create my marketing angle for that, which we're going to talk about, and then you just start driving traffic, okay? Like don't wait to try and get it perfect. You need to start driving traffic, testing ads, and then improve along the way. And then profit multipliers are what we'll talk about at the end. We already looked at that. Okay, so going into niche and product selection. All right, so I want to talk about looking at profitable niches. Because a lot of people don't really understand, they look at stuff and the niche that you pick, it's just important to understand. You can sell anything in any niche, okay? So no matter what you choose, any niche can be profitable for you, all right? But the reality is, the better of a niche that you choose, the better your ability to scale, or the better your ability to go much longer, sustainable. Like last year, I had 1 or 2 products that I was able to run for basically like 5 or 6 months, and it was because I had a good niche that I was just able to run these products consistently and I could scale them to make a lot of money, and that's just all an understanding from the market research point of view, right? Like setting yourself up for success before you even get started. So obviously, number one, we want a niche large enough in scale. You can look at the Facebook audience with audience insights. So you can go in audience insights, type in cats, and you can see how many active users there are a month, right? You want a niche that has a couple million at least active users a month if you want something consistent and sustainable that you can make money from every month. If it only has 500,000 people in the niche, you can make money, but you're going to run out, right? And then you're just going to have to find another niche. So you just need to understand that. You want to have lots of products to sell. I mean, again, you can have a one-hit wonder and you can make money with a one-hit wonder, but it's just your business goal, right? Is that what you want to keep doing, looking for products over and over again, or finding niches that you can continually sell products to? Proven buyer's market. All right, competition is a good thing in e-commerce. I'm going to look in the next slide. It's going to be like all the big money niches that are out there. Well, not all, but a lot of them. And it's important to understand there's a lot of competition in every niche because those niches are so big and you can make so much money from them. People who are proud, passionate, or have a problem, right? These 3 P's make the best products, okay? People who are proud, passionate, or have a problem, because if you can sell things that people are very passionate about, that's what makes a good product, or that they have a lot of pride in. Like, say for example, the family niche works very well in print on demand and custom merchandise because people are very passionate about that, passionate about their family. A dad is very passionate about their daughter, so those necklaces that dads buy for their daughters sell very well every single year, right? Proud, like people who are veterans, okay? People who are veterans buy stuff all the time just because they're proud of being a veteran. People who are like in a certain profession, like nurses or something, that's something that they're very proud of doing, so it's a huge niche that people make a lot of money selling into because they're able to connect with the audience in that way. And then, of course, one of the oldest ways of selling products is finding a problem and solving it. So there's a lot of products out there, like, for example, some of these kitchen products you see that do really well. They kind of solve a problem in making something more convenient, or, you know what I mean? So, like, those are the 3 ones that really do well for products. And another thing you want to be thinking about is short-term versus long-term, right? Like, you just need to know the life cycle of your business. Is this something that's going to make you a lot of money this month, and then you need to be looking next month, or is this something that you can scale over a long period of time? So you guys can take a picture of this slide. I'm not really going to go through and talk about each one of these, but these are all really proven successful niches that there are stores starting every month and stores making money every month because they're just huge. There's a lot of money to be made in every single one of these. Some of the biggest ones are probably health and beauty, the exercise and fitness, family. Family is a huge niche. There's just so many ways that you can make money in. Travel and outdoors is another one, and sports and recreation. And then this is also like collectors and fandom kind of stuff. There's so much of that on AliExpress. I mean, you gotta watch, not to sell like trademarked products, but it's people buy. People love to spend money on their collections. All right, these are some ideas of like angles that make great products. Okay, so when you're looking at products that save people time or money, they sell. Like again, the kitchen gadgets that save people time. Like in the kitchen, they had that one that was like the automatic slicer or something. You can put any vegetable or any fruit into it and just turn it. It cuts out perfect slices, and like it's sold a lot. So save time or money. Pride or ego, we talked about that just a second ago. Happiness and comfort is like the family niche. You know, like there's so much stuff out there that's just kind of corny, but people buy it because it makes them feel good. Makes life easier or increases efficiency. These are things that sell very well in the American market because generally Americans are lazy people, okay? And so anything that you can make their life easier, or you can make like something that they do shorter or more convenient for them, you can sell a lot. Like things just, they sell quickly in that category. Solves a problem or helps people reach an outcome. Okay, so here's some ways that you can research products for dropshipping. All right, some of these you might know already, like AliExpress, but there's, I want to make it very clear that there are ways you can automate this process, right? There are softwares out there now that you can pay for if you want to, but these are still where you can go and find great products all the time. AliExpress has so many different ways that you can use it. You can go on there and you can look at, they have bloggers on AliExpress now that blog about products, and like you can look at the ones that get a ton of feedback or a ton of comments and see how many has sold, and that can give you an idea of new products that people are responding well to. You can look at their collections, like on AliExpress. If you go to AliExpress collections, you can see entire collections of stuff that you can just import right to your store and sell. So there's a lot of things on there. AliExpress is still, unless you know how to speak Chinese, AliExpress is still the best place that you're going to find products out there. I mean, it's where you're going to get the best margins, it's where you're going to have the largest selection of stuff. If you know how to speak Chinese, you can go to 1688 and get cheaper prices, but for people who don't, AliExpress is still going to be the best way. Amazon is a great place to do research because you can go right into Amazon bestsellers and find stuff. I've sold stuff from the bestsellers list before just by going there. A lot of times people are drop shipping to Amazon, so, but it's different. What we're doing with Facebook is we're reaching an audience. Amazon's a completely different marketplace, so you can find products that are selling well there and take them to Facebook. Google Trends is a great way you can look and test an idea. Right, if you have an idea and you go to Google Trends, you can type in the keyword and see if it's something that has a good search volume, kind of as a way to test it. And the example that's really recent that I like to use is fidget spinners, because if you go to Google Trends, you can see how fidget spinners went up, and they were trending really hard, and now it's crashed. They're not trending at all anymore. So if you were looking at that as an idea, you can see that you've already kind of missed it because it was already up in the trend and it's down. So Google Trends is a cool place that you can go just to see if something is consistent or if you are the trend's already over. Facebook and other Shopify stores. So a lot of times where I found great products, and I know a lot of people find great products, is simply by going and looking at other stores that are selling products. All right, it's definitely, people are going to do this to you too. It's kind of a cutthroat industry now, but you can go find a lot of great products because if you see something on Facebook that's getting a ton of engagement, then you can, especially when they use The shorten links, you know, like the Google shortener links or the Bitly links, you can take those links and add a plus sign to it in your URL and then see how many clicks they're getting. So like you can find products on Facebook that are getting advertised, and then you can just go, if they're using a shortener link, you can see what kind of traffic they're getting from it and what countries they're targeting. And then you can just go to these stores and see what products they're selling. And that can give you great ideas, and you can go find them on AliExpress, and then sometimes just in doing that, then you start looking at related products, you start looking at related items, and one thing can lead to another, and you can find some really awesome ideas that way. You can search on Google simply by typing in myshopify.com, right? Like that's the root URL for every Shopify store because they're all hosted on Shopify. So if you go to Google and type in myshopify.com and then the word outdoors, you're going to find all the stores that are selling outdoor items or in that niche. This really long URL that I have up here is where you can go to see how Shopify stores are ranked in traffic. So you know how I said those two that I showed you are doing very well? I mean, I know that because I can go to that link and I can see that they're like the top ranked Shopify sites in the world in terms of traffic. So you can go there at any time and you'll see every single Shopify store is listed there by the IP address, and you can start at the beginning and just see the ones that are getting a lot of traffic and go to those stores to see what they're selling and find great ideas that way. And then you want to remember that when you're going through and doing this research, we're looking for unique products, right? Like a lot of people, I mean, depending on the type of store you have, but the best products that sell are the unique ones. Because you got to remember, if you're advertising on Facebook, which is what I'm going to talk about because that's where most of the money is being made right now with this type of business, because they have such an amazing targeting platform. People are on Facebook scrolling through their newsfeed, right? And they're not necessarily on there to turn it into a shopping experience. So the reason that people click an ad and end up buying something is because you present them something that is really unique, that really like connects with them in a certain way and makes them want to click off of Facebook, go to your store, and end up buying. Like that's a very impulse decision, right? And so you want to find those types of products when you're looking, not everyday stuff that somebody could drive right down the street and find. You want to find the stuff that like maybe they can't find anywhere else, and it's something really unique to them, so they're going to go and they're going to shop. And I will tell you one thing, that I know a lot of people talk about the 3-week shipping time with dropshipping, which kind of sucks, right? 3 weeks. But if you're finding unique products that they can't really get anywhere else, people are okay with waiting that amount of time. All right, like if you look at wish.com, they sell a lot of products at a really great price. People are okay with the shipping time because they know they're getting a unique item at a great price. So it's like all in the way that you frame it for the customer, and people will be okay with shipping and getting something from China. Print on demand is very similar. The only difference really is that one of the best spots you're going to go to find print on demand ideas is Pinterest. And it's just the way that Pinterest works as a platform. People pin things, and a lot of times they're pinning quotes or pictures that are meaningful to them. So if you can go on Pinterest and find a quote, for example, say you're in the family niche, and I'm actually going to give you a great example. I was just in Singapore this past weekend, and Don Wilson, who owns Gear Bubble and is a huge company, he gave an example of a quote that he found in the family niche that was something, it was for husbands and wives, and it was something like, love you now, love you still, always have, always will, right? And he found this quote on Pinterest and basically used that quote across like a whole bunch of different products that made campaigns that did hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales. Because the cool thing with print on demand is once you have a winning design, you can use that design on different products, right? It's an asset to you now. If you have a quote that works, like that one, not only did they sell it on coffee mugs, but they were able to sell it on necklaces, right? It worked on both formats, just different type of product with the same quote, maybe a slightly similar design. but you can use it, and so it becomes a really good way. Like, that's why print on demand is such a great opportunity, because you can just go out there and you can find these unique quotes and these unique ideas by looking at things like Pinterest, by going to Teespring and seeing ideas, and then have a designer that turns it into your own design and then put it up and sell a lot of things. One of the great ways to look at the print on demand industry is having the category, right? So like, say you want to sell into family, you have a category first, and the ones that do really well in print on demand are family, pets do really well, animals, fitness does really well. So like, you have a category, and then you decide what demographic you want to sell it to. So for example, you pick people, like husbands and wives, okay, in the family niche. That's a category. You're selling into the family niche, husbands and wives, and so your demographic is married men. Okay, so like, that gives you an idea now of the exact audience that you're looking for a product. All right, so say you choose soccer, right? That's the category. You choose soccer, and then you add the demographic moms to it, soccer moms. Another thing that I've seen sell very well in print on demand, or fishing. Okay, like fishing is the category, and then you could say men older than 35, right? Because fishing is another huge niche in the print on demand, and they make those shirts like, I saw one recently, a good design the other day, that said something like, work is for people that don't fish, you know. And so, but like, the idea is you create the category that you want to go after, and then you identify the demographic, and then you start going out there and looking for great ideas on Pinterest, on Teespring, that you can model and put onto a design and then use across multiple products, all right? Ideas that, what works really well for print on demand is pride, laugh out loud kind of stuff, passion, or the feel-good items. So like, it's a little bit different in dropshipping, where you're just looking for cool products that might be a convenience thing, or they might be like a gadget or something. Whereas in print on demand, you know, you really need to connect with them on kind of an emotional level to get people to want to buy it. All right, evaluating a product. These questions are kind of what I go through every single time to determine whether a product is something that can be like, that you can sell and scale, right? And this happens on almost a subconscious level at this point, but number one, do I have a clear audience, right? Like, people all the time, they just go out there and they look for products, but they don't think of who they're actually going to sell it to. I've seen people, they always ask in the group, they're like, how can I sell stuff in the jewelry niche? You know, jewelry is huge, right? It's a massive, massive audience, and it's going to be difficult to just go out there and find a pair of earrings and just sell it to women, because it's very, very competitive. Who's your clear audience? Just saying women is not a very clear audience. But if you go out and find cat earrings, like a case study that I saw recently of like these little cat poop earrings, now you have a very clear audience. You have women who like jewelry who also like cats, right? It's much more identified, much more narrowed in. And so when I'm looking at products, I'm already thinking to myself, do I have an audience for this of people that I know are going to buy? Is this item niche, or does it have mass appeal? So the mass appeal items are like the ones that you can scale really big, that don't necessarily have one audience, but it's got to be a really, really cool product, right? Like the one that we all saw recently that did very well, I think, most of you have probably seen this, is the anti-theft backpack. I mean, that sold a lot of items, and it's very general, right? It could be a man, it could be a woman, it could be somebody young, it could be somebody old. It applies to everybody, but it's a really cool, really unique product that nobody's seen before. So like, you have to have something really cool if you're going to go that route, but when you do, the payoff can be really big. Is it a quality item? Obviously, you want to make sure, like, you gotta be careful on AliExpress. There are stories I know of people who have sold items, and the challenge is that there's a 3-week delivery time, right? So a lot of times, if you find a winning item, within 3 weeks, you can scale that item and have already sold hundreds to thousands of them, and then they don't even start getting delivered until after you've already sold all these items. So you definitely want to be careful and make sure that you're finding quality items that you can trust, because I know people that have sold thousands of items made a lot of money, and then the next month we're doing nothing but processing returns and refunds. Like, you don't want that to happen to you, because your business will get shut down, because it's just going to be tons of, Stripe, no payment processor is going to like a lot of refunds, right? It's just how it goes. And Facebook is not going to like all the negative engagement you get on your page when you're selling these types of things and people are complaining. Reliable vendor, same thing, right? Like, you don't want to get stuck with a vendor who's never shipping stuff out on time. So you want to make sure you're communicating with them. Profitable. This should be an obvious question. I think Steve and Evan talked a little bit about pricing your items. Like, you want to make sure it does no good to sell an item that's not making you money, right? So, but a lot of people go into it, they just find items and they don't think about that. We're going to talk about knowing your numbers in a little bit. And then, does it fit with your store, and can you market it? Which is where we're going next. E-commerce marketing. All right, so marketing is all about an outcome, okay? And no matter what, it doesn't matter what you're selling. Like, it doesn't matter how simple the item is. People buy based on emotion, okay? Like, that's just selling 101. People buy based on emotion, they justify with logic. So no matter what you're selling, you're always trying to create an outcome in the minds of the person you're selling to. That's why videos work so well. That's why before and after type things work so well, because they show the outcome. So even if it's a t-shirt, right, very simple, but you want people to be able to feel like what it's going to be like to have that shirt and wear that shirt. I know it's very subjective, but at the same time, it's really important to understand. So that's what a value proposition is all about. And this is, like, I see so many people in e-commerce that just, they just think they think that this selling online kind of stuff is just like no marketing. You still have to have real marketing and real sales going on in your business, and that's why I like to have a solid foundation. That's why I know I'm never going to go out of business, right? Like, even if I start a new store or I have to start a new store, I'm never going to be out of business, because I understand why people buy things and what sells items, right? And so value proposition is what sells. Having a marketing angle, understanding before you go to sell something, why should somebody give me their money for this item, right? Like, when they have so many options, so many online stores, so many places that they could go spend their money, why should they spend it with you, right? That's what a value proposition is all about, is understanding. And these are great points that you can focus on. Like, not every one of these will apply to every item, but these are the types of value propositions that can help you identify and connect with your audience. Simplicity of your offer, like, this should be in every offer no matter what. You want to make it very simple to buy, right? You want to make your checkout process from going through your funnel as simple as possible, because the more complicated it gets, then the less people are going to buy. I was talking with somebody recently who had a store, and they were doing like a pre-launch of their items, but the page that they were sending people to didn't explain it properly, right? It just said pre-order now. It didn't say when you get the item, it didn't say how it works or anything like that. They were generating great traffic, like really, really good traffic, but their conversions were not good. And I told them, like, look, it's because this is not simple. People don't understand when they go to this page, and as soon as they changed that, their conversions started going up. Convenience of your offer. So, we talked about this earlier. Does it make their life more convenient? How does this offer help them in their life? If it's that type of store, if you're selling gadgets, kitchen items, home goods items, really, really big market, really big industry, and a lot of times those are the types of things that do well, is because they make life more convenient for people. Risk reversal, you should have this on your store no matter what, 30-day money-back guarantee, something like that, but people want to know, right? That's why it's important to have a page or an FAQs page that explains how returns work or how refunds work. People want risk reversal. They want to know what happens if I buy this item and it's not what it is, or it's not what, so they have to understand that there's something there to protect them. Entertainment of your offer, that should be obvious. People pay for entertainment, especially in America, but I mean really worldwide, everybody loves to be entertained. So if you have an item like drones, for example, drones sell really well when, some of them, there's a lot of them out there, but really a drone people buy for entertainment unless they're a photographer or something, but those types of items can do really well just based on the fact that they entertain people. Intrinsic fulfillment is like POD, right? Like, so a certain shirt, you guys, there's a company out there called Startup Drugs that sells shirts for entrepreneurs, and they do really well. They're killing it, and their shirts are just based on like entrepreneur quotes and ideas, and that's intrinsic fulfillment, right? People buy that, they wear those types of shirts because as an entrepreneur, it makes me feel really good to wear a shirt and let the world know like what I'm about as an entrepreneur. Increase productivity, and then another one, eco-friendliness of your offer. This won't apply to everybody, but like eco-friendliness is really important nowadays. If you have items that are like in the solar niche or green type stuff, then there's a huge market out there for that now. So these are all just like looking at ways that your value proposition can help you connect with your audience and make people want to buy. Finding your marketing angle, this is taking it a step further. When you go to break this into how am I actually, okay, now I have my product, right, and I understand the types of things that make people want to buy, and so I'm matching up on that. Now, like, what's my angle in presenting this to my audience, right? And so, number one, you want to know your customer avatar, okay? Like, you just want to know who they are and how they think, how they shop, because this is how you target them. Right? This is how you target them on Facebook. So by knowing their interests, by knowing their behaviors, by knowing their demographics, you're able to go to Facebook and make the process very simple. And so you can see, like, if you understand who your customer is first, then you can find great products for them because you already understand how that customer is going to interact with those types of things. Getting clear on the value proposition, we just talked about that, so that's going to help you create your angle and like how you're marketing this by understanding what is the reason that this audience is going to want this product, and then deciding how you want to be perceived. So unique mechanism is something that I like to talk about. Very similar to a value proposition, but it's about identifying like that one thing, that one thing that is going to make people want to buy that item. And so, for example, if we talk about the anti-theft backpack, the unique mechanism there in the video that you could see was the anti-theft, right? It's in the name. That's what made that product unique. That's what made it different from other products, and that's what makes people want to buy that product. Another example that I like to use when I talk about this is P90X. You guys have heard of the home gym system P90X, and they actually, if you look at the story of it, for anybody that hasn't, it's just a home gym system, and it's the highest selling home gym system of all time. And if you look at the story though, they actually failed. Like, they made infomercials to sell this, the same thing as a video ad, right? But they failed the first like 10 or 12 times or something like that trying to sell this item. Like, lost lots of money trying to sell this home gym system until they identified something unique about the way that it works. And the unique mechanism that they use was called muscle confusion, right? And you can look this story up, it's all verified. And once they did that, right, they had like 10 infomercials that failed, and then they said, okay, we identified how we're going to be different than the market. Muscle confusion, this is something different than all the other home gym systems out here. This is what makes ours different because we know how to deal with this, and none of the other systems do. Then they blew up. Like, that infomercial worked, and they used that, and now they're $1 billion company. So like, this is something that is important when you're selling like mass appeal items and you're really trying to go after a big audience. Understanding that you're not just putting that product out there, but you're finding like that one unique thing about it, or that one or two unique things about it, and making that the focus of your offer that people are going to connect with. And then choosing a traffic source and ad creative. So this is like my 4-step process into creating a marketing angle for the products that I sell. Okay, talking about traffic sources, we're going to focus on Facebook ads. I'm going to go through this kind of quickly because, I mean, you guys, there's been a lot of people here talking about the other traffic. But Google shopping ads are a really great way that you can get items out there. Depending on what you're selling, because you're going to be in competition when you're on Google since it's a search engine, but Google shopping ads can be a cheap way to start generating traffic and sales. Instagram is really hot right now, using influencers. I know that there was somebody that talked about that yesterday, and you can use a great strategy with Instagram if you find an influencer in your niche where you do a paid promotion with them. Like, say they do a review for you of a product, you send them a free product, they do a review to their audience, and then you use that review as a way to not only that Instagram traffic can build your Facebook audience, right? Like you can build a custom audience from it on Facebook, and then you can take that post that they made and use that as the ad, and now you have a custom lookalike audience on Facebook that you have an ad you can run to by using that Instagram traffic first, right? By finding an influencer that identifies with your audience and having them do a paid promotion, and then now you have you get all that traffic and you're able to just run and promote that on Facebook as well. Pinterest is something that's quickly growing. They have buyable pins. You can link your store to Pinterest and generate free traffic pretty easily simply by creating a Pinterest page and just linking your whole store to Pinterest. And then there's ways that you can actually do paid traffic as well on there. And then YouTube, this is really new. Well, not new, YouTube's not new, obviously, but people are now creating ads a lot more for e-commerce products on YouTube. And it's a way to generate some cheap traffic on YouTube and then be able to remarket people all over Google based on viewing your YouTube video. And then, like I said, all of these can work, but you need to pick one. And what we're going to talk about today is just Facebook ads, and just talking about some principles of success in using Facebook and selling on Facebook for e-commerce specifically. All right, and really because Facebook is the big one, right? Like we all know that. I think Facebook is huge, it's massive, but I just showed this slide to just kind of back up the point that Facebook is a great place to start selling because it dominates in terms of being able to reach your audience. All right, I'm going to go through this kind of quickly. Intro to Facebook ads. Number one, Facebook has gotten really smart. Okay, the algorithm that it works. So Facebook ads do not have to be complicated. It's really about, again, when you have an audience in mind already of what you want to sell and who you want to sell to, you're just using Facebook as a way to put this offer out in front of them. All right, so what I like to do is keep things simple. Like for the ad copy and the ad creative, I know that the Tan brothers talked about this, and you can see that they keep it pretty simple, right? Emoji is very simple call to action and using a good photo or video, okay? Because 90% of the time, if people aren't buying your stuff, it's because the offer is not right, okay? So it's really more about the offer, in my opinion, than it is about the ad. Because if you're finding a good product and you know your audience, then Facebook's going to be able to do the work for you and you're going to be able to sell that product. So understanding the Facebook auction process, again, I know that the Tan brothers talked about this, that they do most of their stuff on auto bid, so I'm not even really going to talk about that too much. Understanding what Facebook likes to see for ads. This is important, okay? If you want to have ads that do well, Facebook loves engagement, okay? So click-through rate. If people are clicking on your ad, that's showing high engagement. If you're getting a lot of likes, comments, and shares, then you're going to have lower CPM, right? Lower cost to reach people. Based on the higher your engagement, the lower your cost is going to be. That's the way it works on Facebook. That's why running engagement ads on Facebook can still be very helpful, because if you run an engagement ad alongside a conversion ad, and that's helping drive the engagement up at a cheap cost, your conversion ad is going to be cheaper as well. All right, that's been tested by more people than just me. That's a well-known fact now. Facebook loves high engagement, and that's how you can drive your costs down. And that's why videos work so well, because the cost of engagement for a video is so cheap and people automatically view videos, like without even knowing it, they're automatically set to view it most of the time. So the engagement is higher, and the cost of running videos is so much cheaper. Okay, so just a few principles that I want to share with everybody, especially for people that in here may be newer to marketing on Facebook. All right, when you bid on conversions, number one, these are principles based on the idea that these are facts, okay, that are from studying all the information out there through Facebook's own courses and through other stuff, and networking with other entrepreneurs. These are principles that I've been able to come up with. All right, when you bid on conversions, Facebook is going to predict the number of conversions by the budget you set for the day. All right, so whatever budget you set for the day, Facebook is going to look at that 24-hour period and try to determine how many conversions it can get you. All right, that's why setting and changing your budget at the start of each day is best, because you're giving Facebook the full day to make a decision and optimize based on that. All right, number two, Facebook will always try to send you the cheapest conversions first, regardless of your budget. I meant to say budget. Regardless of your budget. All right, so like a lot of people, one of the things in my group that I'm known for is like a testing strategy of starting small with like $5 to $10 a day for people that are getting started in e-commerce. And like a lot of people talk about now, does that still work? And the answer is yes, it does. You're not going to be able to make as much money as quickly if you're starting with a low budget, okay? Like, of course, if you're only spending $5 a day, you're not going to be getting a lot of conversions a week. You're not spending enough money. However, regardless of that budget, Facebook is still going to go out for that $5 a day and try to find you the cheapest conversions that it can. All right, so it's important to understand that, because I see so many people miss this. Like, it's not about saying that low budgets won't work, because they will work. They just won't get you to your goal as quickly. All right, so they still will work. Facebook is still going to run the same algorithm. It's just that based on a low budget, you're really not giving Facebook a lot of room to actually go out and do things for you. So you can test at that budget, but you're not really going to start making a lot of money until you start scaling. All right, Facebook will always try to fill your budget, so they pace against the full 24-hour day, and the optimization resets every 24 hours. All right, so every 24 hours, based on your ad account time zone, optimization is going to reset. And so that's, again, why a lot of times starting your budget or increasing your budget or scaling your budget at the beginning of the day works best, because that's when Facebook resets the algorithm to optimize for your campaigns. At the ad set level, right? So all optimization happens at the ad set level. Oh, that's principle 4. Okay. Optimization happens at the ad set level, and then what Facebook just recently released is that there's a learning phase on your ads for the first 50 conversions. All right, so 50 conversions in a week is what you want to be getting for Facebook to go through the learning phase that they call it. That doesn't mean your ad can't work while it's in the learning phase. Like, your ad will work still. If it's a winning product, you can still be making sales before you hit that 50 conversions. But hitting those 50 conversions a week is how you optimize for scale, right? That's how your cost per purchase starts to become a lot more leveled out, because you're being able to give Facebook what it needs now to optimize and know who your buyers are based on the 50 conversions. And finally, making money on Facebook is about being able to spend money and go big, right? So like, the more you spend on Facebook, the more money you're going to make. And that's just like, you can start small and test small, but the people making the real money are spending money. So that's really, like, you got to be willing to go big on Facebook. All right, just some ideas for testing, okay? Like, in the beginning, when I talked about the strategy, right, talked about being able to test products across a store. And I've talked with people, like, I just had a message actually just yesterday on LinkedIn. Somebody sent me a message and told me that they've tested 15 products and spent $1,000. And they said, I need help. I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. And I said, well, first of all, you're saying these 15 products didn't sell, right? Like, these were not winning products. And they said, yeah. I said, you're spending way too much money. Like, if you spend $1,000 testing 15 products, like, that's just too much, in my opinion. I would never, like, I know if a product's gonna win or not much sooner than that. And I see this happen with people. Even like, when I was in Bali, at a mastermind, I was talking with a girl who's very smart. She's a smart girl, but she had wasted like $10,000 testing ads on a store that weren't bringing her sales. And I was like, what are you doing? Why are you spending $300 on an ad set before you realize that this is not going to make you any money? Like, it doesn't get better with time unless it starts out already good. It's got to be making money. And yeah, Facebook will optimize, and Facebook will be able to optimize and scale for you the longer it goes. but you can tell a winner almost right away in most cases, and these are the things that you're looking at, okay? So, number one, great engagement, right? Like if you have a winning product that goes with a winning audience, there's going to be great engagement. Like there's just no way around that. So if you're running products that aren't getting any type of engagement, there's something wrong. Like these are the early signs, because obviously here's what we want, right? We all want to, like purchases is what we're going for, but when you're testing your product, you may not get a purchase the first day, or the second day, or even the third day, right? But in order to keep running a product until it gets the purchases, there's steps along the way that let you know you're on the right track, right? So like you're not just spending money for no purpose. All right, number one is great engagement. You should be looking to have great engagement. 2 is cost per click. All right, you should be getting link clicks on your ad, because if you're getting engagement, right, that's awesome. People are engaging with your ad on Facebook. Facebook is a social experience though. Like it doesn't really matter unless people are clicking your ad and going to your store, because that shows buying interest, right? So you want to make sure that not only are you getting great engagement, but that you're getting link clicks as well, which is showing that people are actually clicking your ad and are interested in buying. Add to carts, same thing. Like if you're getting cost per click but nobody's adding the cart, then there's something wrong there. And that may not mean there's something wrong with your product or something wrong with your ad, but maybe something's wrong with your store or your product page, right? But you should be getting add to carts, because these are just steps along the process, right? Low CPMs, generally, like CPMs I like to see in the $5 to $20 range, you know, like that's a pretty average CPM for a product that's doing well on Facebook. And then finally, purchases, okay? So, I'm going to talk about a testing strategy in a second, but the key point here is not wasting time on products that aren't working, right? Like, you want to have a system. You want to have something that you look at every time, same exact numbers, so you're not judging based on emotion, because when people are like putting emotion into it, that's when they're failing. So, you want to have a system that you're using every time and understand the numbers that you're looking for. And then once you are getting purchases, we're going to talk about this, it's all about your return on investment. So it's steps along the way, and then once you're finally getting purchases, you want to know that you're making money. So know your numbers, okay? And this is what we looked at, like just talking about that now, that e-commerce is a funnel just like anything. Just like Tim just talked about, anything that you're selling is a funnel from your ad to your product page, add to cart, checkout, right? And so we want to know the numbers along the way that helps us be successful. This is just kind of a diagram. I don't know that I really have time to go over this, but like it's just kind of showing you guys know what a sales funnel looks like. So it's the same thing for any e-commerce store. It's just you want to know your numbers along the way, and that's like what creates a formula, right? When you know your numbers, it just becomes a math formula. It's not very difficult if you understand what your numbers should be like and what helps keep you profitable. It removes the emotion from it, and it makes it so you're just judging based on a math formula that works the same way every single time. All right, so we just kind of talked about testing before sales, okay? It's all about figuring out where your funnel is broken, okay? So here's your funnel, right? We just talked about this. You have your ad to your product page, to your add to cart to checkout. All right, so it's pretty simple to figure out where your funnel is broken. If you're running an ad and nobody's clicking on it, then you either have a bad product or your ad sucks, right? Like if nobody's clicking on your ad, then you need to figure this out first. But this is why it's important to just start testing, because you're putting an ad up and you want to get people clicking that ad. That's the whole point of a Facebook ad, is to get people to click and go to the next page, all right? So if your ad's not getting clicks, and it's not getting engagement, then you know where the funnel is broken right away. You need to work on either finding a better product or you need to create a better ad, maybe a video instead of a photo or something like that. If you're getting clicks to your page, but you're not getting any add to carts, then something's wrong with your product page. All right, if you're getting great clicks, like the example I talked about a few minutes ago, where this girl is running a makeup brand, she's getting great clicks, you know, but people weren't actually adding it to cart. And I said she thought it was a problem with her Facebook ads. And I was like, no, your Facebook ads are great. You're getting awesome engagement. You're getting a really low cost per click. Something's wrong with your store because people are going to it and they're deciding not to purchase, right? So if you're getting great clicks but no add to carts, then the problem is your product page. Something there It could be the price is too high. It could be they don't trust your store. It could be that your format's not working. Maybe your add to cart button's not working. Maybe your color scheme is off. Like, you know, but something here, you want to start split testing, right? And like change something. Make one change at a time and keep testing it until it's fixed, right? So maybe you change the trust badges, or maybe you change the format, or you change something about your product page and then test it for like 2 days or 3 days and see, okay, because I'm already getting clicks, but nobody's adding the cart. So if I make that change, do people start adding the cart now? Not, okay, well then make another change and test something different and just do it until you figure it out and people start making the next step in the funnel where they're adding the cart. And then add the cart to checkout, right? So if you have great clicks and you have a lot of people adding the cart, but nobody's buying, then there's something wrong with your checkout process. Okay, now you're always going to have a little bit of a drop off no matter what, right? Like you're always going to have some drop off, but you know, generally along the way, you know, you should be looking to see like, I don't know, like a good place to start would be maybe 10 to 15% of people adding the cart, right? And then at checkout, like 3 to 5% would be good. You know, generally 1 to 2% is like the checkout conversion that most stores see. But you know, if you're getting like a 0.05 checkout conversion, then something's wrong there. You got to look at the checkout process and see what's going on. All right, these are the numbers. Okay, so I was talking about like looking for great engagement, looking for cost per click, and then a lot of people are always like, okay, well, what types of numbers should I be looking for, you know? So for engagement, okay, when you're running an engagement post, which not everybody does, but I still do these sometimes because it's a great way to test an audience. It's a great way to bring your cost per CPM down. When you're running an engagement, you should be under 10 cents. All right, like if you're over 10 cents engagement, then it's just not, the product's not, or the ad, I should say, the ad is not connecting with the audience. Okay, so under 10 cents, generally, I mean, under 5 cents is when you know you have an audience that really loves like what you're showing them. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they're interested in buying it. You could have a really cute t-shirt about cats that women love and it makes them smile and like your thing, but if they're not clicking, then they're not showing a buying interest. So the next thing that we look at is your cost per click, right? And this is where I look for my cost per click. This is an important thing that helps me kill ads quickly. All right, if I get the $5 or $10 spent and my cost per click is really high, then I know something's wrong. All right, because I've seen enough winning products now to know that a winning product is going to have a cost per click, generally $1 and under, by the time it gets to that point. I may not have purchases yet, but people are clicking and letting me know that they're interested in buying. Facebook just hasn't necessarily narrowed in on the buying interest yet, on the actual people that are the buyers, right? It takes time to optimize sometimes with the algorithm, but I'm not going to let an ad keep running if the early signs aren't good. And the cost per click is one of the ways that we judge that. Now, if you're selling something that has really high profit margins, like say, you know, you're selling an item for $100 that you're sourcing for $30, I mean, you got a great profit margin there, so you can afford a higher cost per click. But this is a really important metric to understand because your cost per click is really going to determine how profitable your store is, right? Because your cost per click has an opposite that is your earnings per click. All right, and so like if your cost per click is too high, your earnings per click is going to be too low, and that means you're running an unprofitable store. So you just want to make sure that like that's my judgment. That's my judgment frame that I use is $1 CPC. All right, and then cost per purchase. All right, this is really the magic number when it comes to your advertising because once you start getting sales, that's your customer acquisition cost, right? Your cost per purchase is your cost to acquire a customer, and that's what makes the whole funnel work. That's how you scale and build a business to 6 figures and beyond, is knowing that you're acquiring a customer for this much and you're making this much. So, but what do I look for when I'm testing? I'm looking to have purchases on my product by the time I've spent $15 to $25. Generally, I'm testing products at like $10 a day, right? As just a small test, and I'm letting them run for like 2 to 3 days, which is pretty standard. You know, like I was talking with Don Wilson earlier, or at the Singapore event, and he was talking about he does $20 a day. All right, cost per purchase. We just talked about this, it's your customer acquisition cost. So Steve and Evan already talked about this a little bit in wanting to make sure, right, they talked about that your cost of goods sold should be like in the 20 to 30% range of what your product is. So when you're looking at a product, these are your numbers, right? So like your gross profit, and this is the formula, your gross profit is going to be whatever your sale price is with the shipping minus your cost per goods, your cost per purchase, and your transaction fees. So two numbers we know here all the time, right? We know our cost per goods and we know our transaction fees on our store. So the only variable in there is your cost per purchase, which is why your cost per purchase is kind of like the magic number, because it helps you determine whether or not this is a profitable campaign that I can scale. So generally I like to use a rule of 3, and what I'm looking for with my ads is that the cost of goods is about 1/3. There's a third profit margin in there, which means I'm giving myself a third of the room to play with my cost per purchase. So as an example of a product that I sold really well last year, I was sourcing the product for $7 with free shipping, right? I was sourcing the product with $7 for free shipping, so that was my cost of goods, okay? And I was selling it for $18 with $5 shipping, okay? So my gross, or my sale here was $23, and then my cost of goods was $7. So I knew that gave me a $16 margin. All right, so my cost per purchase needs to be in that $16 margin for me to be able to scale that item. All right, so that's why it all comes down to your cost per purchase and understanding you have enough room there to make money. This is an example that I saw a long time ago, and I like to use because it's always helped me understand this very well, right? So when we're looking at the cost per purchase, like in the example that we just gave, okay? $23 is my sale price with shipping. I'm fulfilling it for $7. So I have a $16 margin, right? So if I'm getting a cost per purchase for $10, then that means that I still have a $6 profit margin left over. So every $10 I spend, I acquire a customer and I make $6 profit, pure profit on the front end. So that's green light, right? That's profitable. I can continue scaling that and scaling that as far as I can, because every $10 I put in, I get $6 back out in profit. So that's like just automatic money at that point. I'm going to scale that as much as I can because I'm going to keep making that money back. If my cost per purchase in that scenario starts to raise, like to, say for example, my cost per purchase goes to $15, all right, well now it's getting a little bit more like, okay, every $15 I spend, I'm acquiring a customer, fulfilling an item for $7, I'm only making $1 profit, all right? And then after transaction fees and other things, I might not even be making that $1 profit. So that's like, for me, yellow light, right? Like I'm not ready to scale that because it's not working yet. That's just gonna cost me a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of effort without actually giving me anything back in return. So there's a few things we can do to make that profitable that we're going to look at quickly. Like you can increase the average order value, right? So your cost or the money that you're making on each customer goes up, or you can decrease your conversion costs by testing out new ads, or you can build out your long-term customer value. But either way, that's a scenario where I'm not scaling it because it's not there. And then obviously red light is not profitable. My cost per purchase jumps to $20 and I'm selling a $23 item. Obviously that makes no sense unless I have upsells that are making me more money. So I'm not scaling that. And that's kind of everything about the cost per purchase. And then understanding your customer and lifetime value is how you really like you see these free plus shipping offers, you see upsells and things that happen with them. That's how people can break even, like break even on the front and then still be making money on the back end because they know their customer is worth more money than just that one purchase. But you need to understand that and have that set up if you're going to, be breaking even on the front end because it's a harder business to do it that way. So there's only 3 ways to increase revenue, and we're going to end up here with like some of the profit multipliers I'm going to go through quickly because I'm running out of time. So increasing revenue. All right, this is from Jay Abraham, like world's top foremost marketing expert. There's only 3 ways to increase your business. Number 1, you can get more customers on the front end. Okay, that's scaling. So you can increase your budget, you can increase your audience size, you can test new audiences. All right, that's one way to increase your business. All right, number 2 is you can increase the average order value. All right, this happens with upsells and cross-sells, recommended products. I have line spot in parentheses because that's a great Shopify app to use that helps you increase your average order value. So like you could be, for example, with line spot, I had a niche store where it started out, our average order value was like $15 on a shirt we were selling, and then we installed line spot and had some other items that were very related, and our average order value went up to $40. So now we're making a lot more money doing the same exact thing with the same traffic. And then the last way is you can increase the frequency of purchases on the back end, which has to do with email marketing. So I see the next slide is, okay, so this is not the updated slides. All right, so let me talk about this really quickly here. All right, so a couple ways with email marketing to increase the frequency of purchases. Email is really big in e-commerce. What you want to be doing is having some type of system. Like, if you look at the biggest stores out there that are doing a lot of money, they're doing it with, like 10 to 20% of that money is coming from email marketing, from the customers that they're already getting and sending out those emails. Every customer you get with Shopify is going to be a buyer on your buyer's list. So you can send them new offers. And you can set up automated email sequences to increase the more money that they spend with you. That's your value ladder, right? So you acquire a customer at this cost, but then you keep selling items to them, that customer becomes worth more. If you look at Amazon as an example, I know they're a giant, but Jeff Bezos has that famous quote where he says, your margin is my opportunity, right? Your margin is my opportunity, because he understands that's everything in business. Knowing your lifetime value of your customer, knowing that your customer is not just worth what you acquire on the front end, but you have things on the back end that continue selling to them and making more money, then these are the ways that you can increase the frequency of your purchases and make more money, right? So increasing the average order value, there's a couple ways. The bundle. Like bundles, I know the Pan Brothers talked about using bundles. That's a great way. That's like doing an upsell. They come in for one product and you can sell multiple. Having items with variants is another great way, because if you have more than one, like say, for example, I sold socks before that did really well, where it was like one design but different colors, right? And so people buy multiple items, you give them a deal on getting more of them. So it's a great way to increase the average order value, or just having a really good selection of recommended products in there. Because if people are in a niche and they're very interested in one product, you know the saying, a buyer is a buyer, right? They're going to buy again. So if you have multiple products, a lot of times, especially if you use if you give them the add to cart upsell, like they add a product to cart, and then when they go to the cart page, there's like an upsell right there that says they can add this product. That's a great way to increase your average order value, because like 30% of people, maybe not 30%, but a percentage of people are going to take that offer every time, simply because they're a buyer that wants to buy things and it's a good offer while they're in the process. So these two things are really, like, increasing customers can be difficult because you may only have so many people you can scale into. You may only have a certain amount of budget that you can play with while you're growing your business. But anybody can do these two things. Like, you can focus on these pretty simply by adding upsells, adding recommended products, and having email marketing in your business that's going to allow you to make more money off of the things that you're already doing. So kind of summing this up here with my roadmap to what we talked about is identifying your store and your strategy to start, right? Like for people, especially people getting new into this, one thing I always want to make sure I do is give people like a full strategy of how it works. So you're identifying your store and your strategy like we talked about in the beginning. You're creating your brand and building your store like we talked about, looking at other stores out there and just modeling what they do, keeping it simple, making it look very, very professional. Determine your product and marketing strategy, right? Like what kind of products are you testing? What niches are you in? We talked about this, the niche research. And then you want to start testing right away and collecting that data. When you are testing the way that I talked about in certain audiences that you want to focus on, you're not wasting money. You're collecting data on an audience. You're understanding that audience and you're getting closer to finding a winning product by doing that. And then driving more traffic to keep testing. Once you have traffic coming in, and you're starting to get sales, this is when you want to start working on your conversion rate optimization. That's what CRO stands for, conversion rate optimization. And that's what we just talked about, right? Knowing your numbers, knowing what your conversion rate's on your store, and then using retargeting and abandoned cart. Okay, so these are two things that I didn't get too much of a chance to talk about because we're running out of time. But retargeting, right, where you're creating your custom audiences on Facebook, and then people that went to your store but didn't buy anything, you're showing them a second offer, right? Like you're sending them retargeting offers. There are apps you can use on Shopify that make this very simple, that will create those retargeting offers for you. Using a discount code is like one of the easiest and most guaranteed ways to bring people back to your store that have already seen it and left, offering them like a 10% discount with retargeting on Facebook. And then setting up some type of abandoned cart series, because like 60% to 70% of people are going to abandon cart no matter what you do. No matter how good your store is, no matter how big your store is, that's just a fact that people are going to abandon cart, maybe because they weren't ready to buy, maybe because the shipping times were high, you know, whatever. So you want to have some type of abandoned cart sequence set up of emails to go out that's going to bring people back. All right, find and scale your winning products, set up your back-end email marketing, and determine what your lifetime value is so you know how to scale. Create your marketing goals, and then outsourcing and building a team like what the Tan Brothers talked about. So that is basically everything from me. I have a group, Ecom Empires, obviously, and anybody that wants to see this broken down into more detail, I have a bunch of videos in there all for free that kind of show you actually how to build a store, how to go through the steps, live case studies. We have people in there from all over the world sharing their tips, their tricks, their success strategies all the time. So it's completely free. One of my things is just helping promote success and helping people create this type of freedom in their life, because it's really amazing when you have it set up, when you have it working, the type of life that you can live, the type of things that you can do, and I believe everybody deserves that opportunity and that chance. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know it was long, but I hope you got a lot of value out of all this information. Thank you very much for having me here.